We all believe we understand the value of time. We quietly agree when someone reminds us that time is precious. But if we truly felt its worth, would we still spend hours lost in distractions, delaying what matters, or whispering to ourselves, "I'll begin tomorrow"? Here is the truth most people try to ignore. Time is the only thing in life that never returns once it leaves your hands. Money can be earned again. Opportunities can come back in different forms. Even broken paths can be rebuilt. But a single moment, once gone, is gone forever. And the hardest part is this: most people only realize it when there is nothing left to hold on to. This story is about a father and his son. A father who watched his child drift through days without purpose. And instead of repeating the same words, he chose a different way to teach him. He gave him something simple, an old watch and a question so strange that no one could truly answer it. Yet that question changed everything. Stay with this story until the end, because sometimes one moment of understanding can do what years of advice never could. In a quiet town surrounded by fading fields and narrow, dusty paths, there lived a father and his son. The father was a man of routine and responsibility. Every morning before the sun fully rose, he would already be awake, preparing for the day, opening his small shop, arranging his goods with care, and working until the light of evening softened the sky. He returned home each night with tired hands but a peaceful heart. But his son lived differently. The boy carried no sense of urgency within him. He woke long after the morning had passed, stretched lazily, and stepped outside with no clear purpose. His days were spent wandering through the streets, sitting at roadside stalls, laughing without direction, watching life move forward while he stood still. He often said there was always time, as if tomorrow was guaranteed and endless. At first, the father spoke with patience. He tried to guide him with calm words, hoping something would reach his heart. When that failed, he spoke more firmly, warning him about the future, about responsibility, about life not waiting for anyone. But the boy only listened with half attention, nodding without understanding. Eventually, the father stopped speaking. He realized something many only learn after disappointment. Words can be heard, but they are not always felt. And without feeling, they change nothing. Days passed quietly, then weeks slipped by unnoticed. Slowly, months began to fade into one another. The father watched, not with anger, but with a growing concern that settled deep inside him. It was not poverty he feared for his son. It was something far greater. He feared that his son did not understand what he was losing with every passing day. And once that understanding came, it might come too late. One evening, as the golden light of sunset filled the room, the father walked toward an old wooden cabinet resting in the corner of their home. It had been there for years, holding things that carried memories rather than value. He opened it gently, almost with respect, and reached inside. From within, he took out a small object wrapped carefully in cloth. He unfolded it slowly. Inside was an old watch. Its surface was worn, its edges softened by time, but its ticking remained steady. It had lived through years, silently marking every passing second. The next morning, he called his son. The boy approached with the same lazy energy, still half lost in sleep. Without much explanation, the father placed the watch into his hand. "Take this to the market," he said. "Ask different people what price they would give for it. Go to many places, listen carefully, then return and tell me what you learn." The boy looked at the watch with mild curiosity. The task seemed simple, almost meaningless, but he accepted it without question. Slipping it into his pocket, he walked toward the market, where the noise of daily life was already alive. The streets were crowded. Vendors called out loudly, displaying fruits and vegetables. Shopkeepers arranged their items neatly, hoping to attract customers. The air carried the sounds of bargaining, footsteps, and distant conversations blending together. The boy moved through the crowd and stopped at the first shop. He showed the watch. The man behind the counter examined it briefly and gave a number without much thought. At the next shop, someone else offered a slightly higher amount. At another place, the price changed again. Each person gave a different answer, each seeing a different value in the same object. By the time the sun began to lower, the boy returned home. The father asked him what he had discovered. The boy explained that no one agreed. Everyone saw the watch differently. Some thought it was worth little, others saw more value in it, but no answer was the same. The father listened quietly, offering no explanation. The boy waited, expecting something more, but nothing came. The conversation ended there. The following day, the father called him again. He handed him the same watch, but this time his instruction was different. "Go back," he said calmly, "and ask them not the price of the watch, but the price of the time inside it." The boy frowned slightly. The question made little sense to him. Still, he obeyed. He returned to the same market, but this time his words were different. When he asked the question, people reacted in ways he had never experienced before. Some laughed openly, others dismissed him without patience. A few looked confused, unable to understand what he meant. The same places that had answered him before now rejected him. With each reaction, the boy felt something unfamiliar rising inside him. His confidence faded. His steps slowed. For the first time in a long while, he felt uncomfortable, almost exposed. The question he carried suddenly felt heavy, as if it demanded an answer he could not find. He continued walking, but the responses did not change. Laughter, confusion, and silence followed him from one place to another. The noise of the market now felt different, no longer welcoming. It felt distant. Just as he was about to give up and return home, his eyes fell upon a small shop hidden between larger ones. It was quiet, almost forgotten, filled with clocks of different shapes and sizes. Each one ticked at its own rhythm, yet together they created a soft, steady sound. Inside sat an old man, focused on repairing a delicate timepiece. His hands moved carefully, with precision and patience. The boy stepped closer and asked his question once more. This time, there was no laughter. The old man paused. He looked up, studying the boy's face, not with confusion but with understanding. After a moment of silence, he spoke. "The watch has a price," he said gently. "Anyone can give a number for it, but the time inside, that has no price." He continued, his voice calm but firm. "You can own the watch, you can sell it, you can replace it, but the time it measures, that cannot be bought, sold, or returned. Once it passes, it belongs to no one." The boy listened, completely still. If something breaks, it can be fixed. If something is lost, it can often be found again. But time is different. Even a single moment, once gone, is beyond reach forever. The shop remained silent, except for the ticking around them. Each sound now felt louder, more meaningful. "Time does not wait," the old man said. "It moves forward whether you are ready or not, but it gives you a choice. Every day it gives you hours. What you do with them decides everything." The words settled deep within the boy. They did not feel like advice. They felt like truth. Something inside him shifted, something quiet but powerful. When he returned home, his steps were no longer careless. There was a sense of awareness in his eyes that had never been there before. He shared everything with his father, every word, every moment, every realization. The father simply listened. No lecture followed, no correction was needed. From that day forward, the boy's life began to change. Not suddenly, not perfectly, but steadily. He woke earlier. He began to take small responsibilities. He spent less time drifting and more time doing. Each day the change grew stronger. Nothing around him had changed. The town remained the same. The streets, the shops, the people all continued as before, but within him something had awakened. He had finally understood. Life does not become meaningful by waiting. It becomes meaningful by valuing the time we are given. Many people are living their lives in the same quiet pattern as that boy. They keep telling themselves, "I'll begin tomorrow," or "There's still time." But little by little, those delays turn into habits. And those habits slowly shape a life without direction or purpose. The danger does not appear suddenly. That is why most people never notice it. Lost time does not make noise. It fades away silently. This story carries a truth that we all understand, yet rarely apply. Every single person is given the same 24 hours each day. No one receives extra. No one receives less. Yet some people build meaningful lives while others look back and wonder where everything went. The difference is not about time itself, it is about how we choose to use it. Take a moment and think about your own days. How many hours have you spent on things that brought no value to your growth, your peace, or your future? How often have you delayed something important, believing you would do it later, only to let the day pass unnoticed? The father in this story understood something powerful. He knew that words alone could not change his son, so he gave him an experience. He allowed him to feel confusion, face rejection, and discover the truth on his own. That is how real understanding is born. Not from hearing, but from realizing. So here is what you can take with you today. Stop waiting for the right time. Stop convincing yourself that there is always more ahead. Begin now. Begin with something small. Wake up with intention. Reduce one distraction. Take one meaningful step forward. Because every hour you invest today is quietly shaping the person you will become tomorrow. Remember this clearly. Almost everything in life can be regained, but time cannot. Once it passes, it is gone forever. Now tell me honestly. What is one thing you have been delaying that you will finally start today? Write it down in the comments and make that decision real. If this story made you pause and reflect, share it with someone who needs this reminder. And if you want more stories that challenge the way you think and live, subscribe and stay connected. I will return with another story soon. Until then, stay patient, stay aware, and never forget, your time is your life. Use it with purpose.